Hot off the presses, my friends, Sports Interactive has announced that they have rolled out their first content update of FM26. It's been a little bit. I think the last update that came out was on like the 21st of November. It's been nearly 2 weeks, but as they promised in their preview earlier in the week, they have confirmed an update has been rolled out in the Steam public beta branch. Now, if you don't remember how to do that, you just go to your football manager, right click, select properties, go to betas, and from the drop-down pick public beta, and you are all set. You'll be able to update the game as I am doing right now. A wealth of bug fixes, improvements, and features have been announced. Match day shouts are back. Now, they are back in their form as they were in FM24, which means they kind of work but kind of don't. They don't work as intended, as they said, and they will not take effect until the next stoppage in play. They have also extensively polished and refined the user interface. They have customized attribute coloring. We'll get into that in just a little bit. I'm very excited for that. They've made tweaks and improvements to transfers, added the ability to schedule friendlies for your youth teams, updated various competitions and rules. I'm not sure what they mean by that exactly. And they've made improvements to the news section for the For You News tab and added functionality to import or export attribute templates on the in-game editor. So let's look at the non-exhaustive change list. On the technical end, they have broken this down into various categories, and we will hit each one. They've made extensive crash and stability fixes. They've further improved the in-game translations. They've added customization options for the user to be able to choose attribute and position coloring as shown below. It looks a lot like it did in FM24, and that's okay. I'm glad to see that functionality is coming back, so things are going to look a little different on stream and in our videos beginning next week. They fixed an issue where custom files such as set pieces and tactics couldn't be loaded if they were renamed in File Explorer. They made various improvements to saving and selecting custom training schedules, fixed an issue where the fixture tab wouldn't appear when viewing the calendar via a keyboard shortcut or the bookmark button. You may have noticed that if you hit the bookmark for a fixture schedule, it would take you to your regular calendar and you would not even have a fixture schedule option there. You had to navigate away and then click on the fixture schedule up above to make that come back. They've improved the drag and drop functionality for moving players within the squad planner. That certainly helps. Fixed an issue where the database language cannot be set separately to the game language. Fixed a very rare issue where saves imported from FM24 were unable to advance. I personally have not attempted to play any of my FM24 saves. I mentally have moved on. They fixed an issue preventing users from attending a job interview with a custom database ported in from FM24. They've reworded all the descriptions of the keyboard shortcuts and added a tooltip on processing speed / estimated game speed on the quick advanced start. I guess so that mean they tell you what all of those relaxed and I don't even remember the other ones. Relaxed and like will take a dog's age. I don't know what it was. In the match engine, the match experience and the animation changes. They've reintroduced shouts to matches as shown below, which means there's a little drop down right next to where you can change your team's mentality. They made tweaks to the frequency of players shooting at the near post from tight angles. We talked about that in a couple of earlier installments of our Ituano series. They made improvements to defender reactions against opposition dribbling. I cannot wait to see how that works out. Tweaks have been made to the line defenders' hold when defending in their own box so they don't get all nice and sloppy and terrible like the defending. For all the great things in the match engine, the defending has been somewhat tragic. They've improved the logic to defenders' decision-making with headers when not under pressure, meaning that they're not going to just put the ball out into an area where, maybe they don't have any other players. I would hope that instead of heading it down, if they are not under pressure, that they will just bring the ball down and make a better decision. Keep my fingers crossed on that one. They've improved the attacking movement of players during counterattacking transitions. They've made various other match AI tweaks. I don't like the fact that they throw in this little catch-all. I kind of want to know what you've done so I can see if it's working properly. Is that really too much to ask? They fixed an issue where the disallowed goal caption appeared earlier than the VAR animation. I have yet to play in a league with VAR, so okay, I'll have to take your word for it. Fixed an issue where substitutions made at halftime were not immediately applied if the tactics screen was still open. That has been a problem. Youth coaches will now rotate players more in youth matches. I like that. Fixed an issue where floating floodlights appeared in nighttime matches when using tactical or dynamic sideline cameras. We've seen that a lot on stream, where just the mystery diamonds that show up and you can't see anything going on behind them, and you have to change your view and then change it back just to get them to disappear. They fixed the captain indicator not appearing in the UEFA Conference League's pre-match lineup. Haven't had that issue myself. Fixed an issue where a red card would incorrectly show for both teams in men's Champions League matches. Again, have not played Champions League football yet, so that's not going to be an issue. Winter balls will no longer be used if the weather is only raining, which is basically all the time. They tried to fix that in an earlier update, and I'm not quite sure if it works quite the way they planned. They fixed an issue where event captions were shown all at once when switching out of commentary-only highlights. Don't use commentary-only, not a problem for me. Maybe a problem for you. Let me know below if you've had that issue. Fixed various kit clashes, including Everton at home versus Brighton away, both varying variations of yellow colors. Improvements were made to the match momentum graph. What improvements? I don't know. And in the 2D view, managers, medical staff are now colored correctly. Goal nets will now correctly move when the goal is scored, and the ball will now be sized appropriately when it is in the air. Tons of fixes to the user interface. Extensive polish and refinement have been done. What they mean by that, not 100% sure. They made improvements to the squad comparison screen, within the scouting report. Wage budget payroll on tiles and widgets will now display in the correct weekly, monthly, yearly format in line with our preferences. Whatever we've set in the match, they will now use. The transfer activity tile now states the number of days until the window opens and closes. I like that. They have shown that below. 118 days left until it opens in this example. That is pretty nice. That is very helpful, to be honest with you. The eye tooltip will now appear next to the players on Goal 50 and Next Gen news items, adding a recently viewed players option on the player comparison screen. That is very helpful and something we had in past football managers. Users can now add players from their youth squads to their squad planner. It was such a pain in the butt to do that before. Fixed an issue where the commercial summary news did not display names or shirt numbers for most sold shirts. I ran into that with Ituano, and we had it on the YouTube series. I think a big part of that is because even though we could set numbers for the players, those numbers were not used in match because we're in Series C, so they just go 1 through 11 and then 12 through 24, I want to say, for the bench. So that is nice. User can now open the past match report when playing in low resolution on calendar/fixtures. The clear all button now functions as intended when viewing a list of player recommendations. The correct fixture result now appears on the club site in the latest results section. Fixed an issue where the in possession, out of possession role titles would sometimes show the incorrect position for players. I saw this happening a lot when I would try to make changes from the combined screen to either in possession or out of possession roles. It wouldn't actually reflect the change. I would have to go into the in possession or out of possession screen to actually see that happen. I'm glad that hopefully is going to be fixed. Own goal scorers are no longer duplicated in the calendar. Club hyperlinks on club reports now function as intended. The recruitment focus tile now correctly displays the active number of focuses instead of the total number of focuses. I like that. Fixed an issue where the FM menu couldn't be closed when using the X button upon loading a save game. The medical center tile now displays the correct icon on players at risk of injury. The short list tile now updates in real time. Very helpful. The transfer window tile no longer displays as closed when the user declines to make an offer message. The match momentum legend now matches the displayed colors in the card and tile. A lot of these things are issues that I personally have not come into or not noticed. There's still a lot in Football Manager. And it's always been this way, that if you play the game a certain way, you may not run into certain issues. You may not see certain things. They've enabled player sorting by player and by expected playing time in playing time expectations for the new season portal message. The defensive line tile no longer appears twice in the all instructions out of possession tab. That was really frickin' annoying. Tactics evaluation will now display correctly when first opened. They fixed an issue where the mark-specific player list of players only appeared after reopening the instruction card that will be there the first time. Fixed an issue where the mini pitches weren't appearing in the formation picker suggested tab. Fixed an issue where the season date text displayed within transfer history card was incorrect. The XG bar will now be colored correctly on the Data Hub card. God, the Data Hub needs so many fixes. Fix the Squad Planner type tab not being highlighted when opening. Various search filters within the player database now function as intended, like international cap, scouting knowledge, days since last scouted, player footedness, just to name a few. A position map now displays appropriately for the youth candidates. Yay. And they've improved the color contrast of the reset button and the card's background on the code of conduct message. Now the changes to transfers, loans, and wages. They were talking about making changes to the loan screen. Let's see what they've done. They've made various tweaks to men's transfer values across multiple nations, tweaks made to AI club loan offers, tweaks made to intermediary suggestions, improved various transfer-related logics for Saudi clubs, improved wage and transfer budget distribution logic for AI clubs, improved advice consistency between transfer and contract negotiations. Again, I'd love to see all of these kind of in play to see how they're different from the way they were before. SI has made improvements to the AI transfer negotiations when using buyback fees or alternate transfer dates. They've reduced the transfer budgets for women's teams to be more realistic in relation to their club's finances. They've tweaked the player wage demands in women's football, improved AI logic when using buyback clauses in women's football, made tweaks to player interest for high-profile free agents. Good or bad? I don't know. Fixed an issue where AI clubs would include future fees and loan deals for players with less than 12 months remaining on their contract. Added a sign replacement first option back into the main transfer negotiation. AI clubs are now going to set more realistic goals during negotiations for loan players. Thank you, Lord, for that. Fixed an issue where AI clubs would ask for a loan back of a player who is already out on loan. Made tweaks to ensure AI clubs only make offers that they can afford. Hopefully for players that they will, use. Fixed an issue where the user would receive transfer offers when selecting multiple players to be loan listed. Improved the messaging surrounding users who are unable to enter contract negotiations for a player that has no interest. Like maybe, let us know before when the offer is being accepted. Maybe not make it seem like when we talk to the agent that the player might be interested and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, no, I ain't signing for you. Fixed an issue where the player would lose their work permit after joining permanently in a mandatory future fee deal. Wage percentages now populate correctly when the user switches from transfer offer to loan offer. Thank you for that. A reduction in the number of non-negotiable transfer offers made by the AI, for youth players. That is the absolute worst, where you just cannot negotiate and then the player gets upset, but I'm like, dude, they're not offering any money for you and you have value to us. They've made adjustments to how the AI clubs offer minimum fee release clauses. Users can now offer a player near retirement a staff-only contract. I hope that works because I really want to do that with Saulo in my Ituano save because he is tragic for me as a goalkeeper, but he is probably going to be the best goalkeeping coach we'll be able to find in a very long while. Player wage will now display correctly, even if exceeding the maximum amount the user can offer within the contract offer tool. They fixed an issue when offering a player via transfer room where it caused the action to be inactive for a month. Thank you for that. The correct reasoning will now be given when the user selects cancel proposal for player currently under offer within the transfer room out card. Not exactly sure what that particular situation is, but I'm sure we'll run into it at some point. The wage budget now updates in real time within the recruitment budgets tile when the user alters the budget. Thank you. Fixed an issue where the set for release and instruct director of football to negotiate renewal actions did not function correctly within the contract set to expire message. The correct amount that is to be deducted from next season's transfer budget will now be displayed within the set to move on loan portal message. Offer contract action will now become inactive after making an offer for a player. Yes, you should be able to know who you've already made an offer for and not find out after you have tried to make an offer for them. The playing monthly fee will now correctly display with loan offer messages. They fixed an issue with the wage after reaching international appearances clause not functioning correctly for players who already have caps. And they fixed an issue where the wage percentages when offering a player out via transfer room for loan would sometimes appear as NA. And then, don't worry, there is even more. They have made improvements to the variety and relevance of the news section in the For You News tab. I think we mentioned that earlier. Fix the issues related to the UEFA Nation coefficient calculation for bonus points and playoff round results. Users can now arrange friendlies for their youth team squads. They fixed an issue where U21 players with 2 or more years with the club were unable to play in the Champions League even though they were U21. Fixed an issue where you could register more players than required via the Ask Assistant to Pick option. Added some new press conference questions surrounding player performance and tactics topics. Interesting, but we'll never see that because I personally do not do my own press conferences. Improve the attribute distribution for new-gen goalkeepers. Thank you. Although I really do like the new-gen goalkeeper that we have at Ituano, Andre. Thank you so very much for him. Fixed an issue where the user will be informed about female youth players being released when playing in the men's league and vice versa. Fixed an issue where the youth candidates item would appear multiple times within portable messages. Functionality has been added to send B team staff on coaching courses. I want to be able to send myself on a coaching course. It is so frustrating that these lower level teams just do not see the value. I literally, on stream, am playing in a league with absolutely 0 badges, cannot get one for my team when everybody else has a national A license or higher who is managing in that league. But I digress. They fixed an issue where the text incorrectly stated that signing a player would help fulfill the development of players using the club's youth system objective. Fixed an issue where there was no option in the team unhappiness meeting to explain that the player wanted you to accept the transfer offer. I hate going in there and I do not have a positive response to give, where I am either making a promise that I do not intend to keep or I'm going to piss off the players even further. It happened recently. I'm sure it will happen again. It has been a problem for at least the last couple of FMs. Fixed an issue with the prize money message incorrectly stated the club drew when in fact they won. Changed the collective win bonus. It now happens in real time if you do that. More accurate commercial income for high representation women's football clubs. AI teams will no longer actively attempt to recruit managers when their league is not loaded in the database. Thank you. Various improvements have been made to AI Club Logic when sacking their managers. I don't know if that means to how they replace them or just in deciding to sack them at all. I didn't realize that was a major problem. They fixed an issue where a player would get upset over being sold despite only leaving on loan. Actions and observations on meeting summaries will now display correctly. I hate when I click observations and it takes me to the actions. I don't do it a lot, but I like to see, I may not use it in the way it's intended, where I make the changes there, but I like to see what the suggestions are so I can then go investigate for myself if that's going to be a good deal or not. They fixed an issue where the board would always give you more time in the last chance meeting. Kind of don't mind that, to be perfectly honest with you. Fixed an issue where human managers would not get offered a new contract by the board. The club vision choices will no longer include the preliminary rounds if you have qualified directly for the Champions League. That seems like a no-brainer, but okay. The competitions stages XG table now is the correct calculations when compared with the league table. Improvements have been made to AR manager sackings in the women's game. Fan reaction to transfers will now be more accurately displayed. Opt-out and future transfer status icons will now display correctly. Fixed an issue where post-match player ratings data shown in the fixture schedule wouldn't get generated. I love the fact that there are so many things that are changed. I'm disheartened by the fact that so many things had to change. Players who were trained in England for 3 years before their 21st birthday will no longer show as 0 years at club and squad selection rules. Fixed an issue where stadiums without seats would display as having 0 capacity. Fixed an issue where the staff meeting advice did not show which recruitment focus you should be making. Fixed an issue where transfer completed message didn't mention that a player had joined on an ESC permit. Kind of important. Fixed an issue with the squad planner not updating immediately when trying to re-add a removed player. Fixed issues where various non-playing roles would incorrectly be selected by default during manager creation. Functionality to search through messages now works on all of the tabs. Near matches view is now implemented into the recruitment focus tool. Not sure exactly what that means. Number of club members on the supporters card is now better displayed. Fixed a rare issue where the user would be unable to retire. I didn't know you could do that. Once I retire in-game, I just retire. Overall now appears as a type on the debts and loan cards within finances. Fixed board happiness logic regarding the number of goals conceded. Recruitment focus tile now only displays active focuses. The user return date will now appear correctly on the processing card when on holiday. Scouted players will now appear in the player comparison list within the player report. Goals scored from penalties will now correctly show in calendar fixtures. Fixed an issue where going on holiday would skip past friendlies despite selecting holiday to next match. The listed for transfer status icon will now correctly update on the player report card when the player leaves on loan. Fixed a rare issue where the improved first team coaching staff promise would be deemed a pass immediately. Fixed an issue where the promise to strengthen the first team squad at right back would fail despite suitable improvements being made. Why it was just at right back, I do not know. You would think it would be an overall logic, but Sports Interactive. More accurate attendances for cup competitions and friendlies in women's football. They fixed the award bonuses option incorrectly appearing within staff contract negotiations. Staff members will no longer be described as a free agent when employed by the user's club. That's helpful. Fixed an issue where the Delegate Attends League Press Conferences button was visible when meeting the media for the first time. Fixed an issue where staff non-contract expiry dates would display as 2/1/1900 within the staff database. Fixed an issue where managerial vacancies were not updating properly when a job was available. Oh, please fix the job center for someone doing a journeyman save and loving a journeyman save. That is the worst part of doing a journeyman save right now, is trying to find a damn job and apply for those jobs. Fixed an issue where the user was unable to view league tables for some of the U19 division leagues. I'm having that problem with Ituano right now. I was looking for it, could not find it. Fixed an issue where the user was able to request a team report for a women's team when managing a men's club, and vice versa. Flu is no longer described as being caused by a training incident, and Norwegian players will now have correct knowledge of the English language. They have removed the redundant All Groups tab and table showing in rules cards where those were not relevant. In Australia, the change to the salary cap rules have been made from the 2025-26 season onwards. In Austria, they've addressed fixture congestions by updating the league format due to Stripfling's bankruptcy. In Africa, the correct teams will now take part in AFCON 2025. Seems like a no-brainer, but sure. They've also fixed the African Champions League disciplinary rules, which were causing unrealistic suspensions. In Asia, they fixed multiple issues for all three Asian club continental competitions, fixed regionalization issues in group stages and matchups in knockout rounds, and updated squad registration rules and removed redundant foreign player match rules. In Belgium, they've updated the rules for the Belgian Challenger Pro League in the 2025-2026 season for the U23 sides, fixed the issue where club NXT players would be on holiday during 3 rounds of the second-tier Belgian league, and also the Belgian First National Amateur Division now correctly appears in the game. In Brazil, updated the 2026 transfer and registration window dates and removed the extinct U23 championship. I don't know if that's going to affect our save. Chile has updated the sub rules and removed extra time for the Chile Cup and added the points deduction for Santiago Morning. In China, updated the available Super League squad numbers for an allocation up to 60 and corrected the number of relegations from the Chinese National First Division in 2025. Colombia updated the TV deal and the second division scheduling. Denmark, all Danish teams will now enter the Danish Cup. National and club coefficients have been updated in Europe, and clubs should play teams from the same nation in the league phase of European competitions far less frequently. In Egypt, they fixed the malfunctioning registration window for the Premier Division, fixed the issue with the real-life squad numbers not being present for Premier Division clubs. In England, they've added the points deduction for Sheffield Wednesday, drawn the National League Cup group stage games. They now go to penalties for an extra point. Updated the incorrect Carabao Cup scheduling that was causing fixtures in the opening weekend of the championship to be incorrectly played on a Friday. Fixed a very rare issue where competitions were not scheduling in the following season due to an unlikely set of circumstances, meaning the National League playoffs were not completing. And in the WSL, they've added a rule to allow U21 players to be eligible without registration. In Finland, all relevant teams should now enter the Finnish Cup. They've updated the French third division format as well as they updated the French dates. In Germany, they fixed the incorrect scheduling of the 25-26 Bundesliga and Zweite Bundesliga seasons. Updated the sub-rules in Greece in Super League 1 and the Greek Cup while adding a U21 match rule in the Greek Cup. In Hong Kong, they updated the League Cup foreign player and sub-rules. They made various youth competition updates as well. Indonesia updated the squad registration rules in the Indonesian Championship. U23 clubs in Italy no longer appear incorrectly in the Italian Cup. I noticed in the eyes they do not mention the fact that you can only play in the second tier in India. That makes no sense to me and was a complete waste of time in our stream Journeyman save. In Japan, they updated the incorrect squad registration squad size requirements for the 2025 season, updated unrealistic transfer and registration window dates from 26-27 onwards, and updated substitution rules for special tournament playoff stages. In Malaysia, which is affecting us right now on stream, they fixed the incorrect match rule in the A1 League. Well, that's not affecting us. We're not there yet. That was stopping users from naming multiple U22 players in matches, updated the Super League foreign player match rules, and updated the Cup competition scheduling. Northern Ireland has a corrected date and venue for the 2026 Bet McLean Cup final, and they added extra time in the Northwest Cup. Peru removed the first division squad registration, squad size, and squad number limits. They fixed an issue with the team not receiving prize money when winning both stages of the league and updated the first division sub-rules. Portugal updated transfer and registration window dates for all leagues, fixed the incorrect registration window dates for the second league, removed the incorrect U21 player match rule from the League Cup, and teams now start with 0 points in the third division championship group. I wonder what that was all about. You would think that most of these things would have been done long before the game came out, because all of these leagues that are affected started long before the game came out. In Poland, they updated the match and sorting rules. In Russia, they fixed the foreign player match rules not being correct in the 25-26 season and updated the sub-rules in the Russian Cup. In Romania, they fixed the first team only registration rule not functioning correctly. In Scotland, they removed replays from the Scottish Cup. I hear Grey Hair Gaming rejoicing somewhere else in America. In Spain, the Spanish women's first division foreign player rule is now correct. Singapore has updated match rules for the Premier Division. They corrected the Community Shield date and added VAR to appropriate competitions. They've updated Swedish women's cup scheduling for future seasons. In South America, they updated the draw dates for the Copa Libertadores and updated the U20 Copa schedules for 25 and 2026. In South Korea, clubs can now sign foreign goalkeepers successfully from the 2026 season on. In the USA, waiver claim acquisitions now appear in the transfer history. They fixed an issue where all rounds in the MLS Super Draft are listed as round 0. Fixed an issue where the MLS and NWSL squad registration rules display unfulfilled incorrectly in the offseason. Fixed an issue where the draft shortlisting doesn't function correctly. They are passing, if you pass in the MLS draft, it will now function correctly. Resolved an issue where the assistant manager would sometimes draft players on your behalf, and in the NWSL, international slots have been updated. The Uruguayan Cup schedule has been updated. They have fixed unrealistic scheduling for the JD Premier in Wales from the 2026-27 season onwards, and updated the eligible hosts for the FIFA Club World Cup. But wait, there's more. They fixed multiple soft lock issues online when using both idle managers and processing after options. Re-enabled disabled following other humans preference. Fixed an issue where all users would receive the team report if one user requests one. The manager password resume control password field text is now correctly masked. And enter and return keys now work when searching for a server manually or entering a password. And they've also made changes to the in-game editor, which I am not going to cover here. Lots of stuff. Very excited to get bedded in. We will be on stream tomorrow night checking this all out together. And starting on Monday, these changes will be implemented in our Youth Academy save here on YouTube with Ituano. I just literally finished editing tomorrow's episode, so I'm not going back to do it. It is a doozy. It is a barn burner. What do you think of all these changes? Let me know down below. Is it, again, too little, too late? It's not too little, that is for sure. But the sheer volume of changes that needed to be made is just so disheartening, knowing that these things should have just either been that way to begin with or should never have been broken like this. in the first place. Love to hear your thoughts down below, and I will continue seeing you around YouTube and Twitch. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and if you are on the public beta track, enjoy the update. Let me know how it's going for you. I'll catch you next time, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue. We round out Season 3 in Serie C in Brazil with Ituano, and things are going pretty well. We'll see how they end up. I'll see you then. Until then, my friends, bye-bye.